Hello, everyone, and welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone, and today we're going to go over everything you need to know about Mobius and Mobius, Kang, and High Evolutionary. The spotlight caches, the variants, the decks, the effects on the meta, everything you need to make informed decisions and be the best Marvel Snap player you can. Let's get started, but first, I'd like to invite you to subscribe. We are your one-stop shop for all your Marvel Snap needs. We bring you at least 2 brand new decks every single weekday. These decks are perfect for hitting infinite, for climbing once in infinite, and for opening tonight, getting those infinity borders. These are proven decks that you're not going to find anywhere else. Subscribing is free, it helps us out, and we do our best to bring you the best content. In addition to that, we're giving away 15 through 3 different platforms Elsa Bloodstone season passes. The next couple slides, the next couple minutes are going to be how to win those. I'm going to try and go through that quickly so we can get to Mobius. If you're interested in getting Elsa Bloodstone and the season pass for October for free, though, please pay attention. First, over on Marvel Snap Zone, either coming up today or tomorrow, will be an article that has a link to like a Google form, a little document that you can enter to win a season pass. You're going to go to Marvel Snap Zone, the website I write for that hosts the podcast. Hopefully, you check some stuff out. If not, no problem. All you have to do is click the link for the giveaway announcement. Hopefully, check out the great content. And at that point, you can be entered to win one of 5 season passes for Elsa Bloodstone. Next up, we have a Twitter giveaway. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Follow on Twitter at SnapJudgeCast. Like and retweet the announcement tweet that's right in the description to this video. Comment what Snap content creator you would like to see join the podcast for an episode. Anyone that you think would be a good guest on the podcast, let us know. Once you've done that comment, you are eligible to win one of the 5 Twitter season giveaways. Finally, every video from the one this morning, which featured a really great secret W deck, former W Los, a really great W deck that is completely unheard of everywhere else. Check that video. Any comment for any video from that one till next Sunday's video, as long as you're subscribed, enters you to win a season pass. So all you have to do is sub here and comment videos. We'll enjoy the content while you're doing so. All right, let's get to Mobius. Our spotlight card this week is Mobius M. Mobius. The M is also for Mobius, for anyone wondering. It is a 2/3 Series 4, 3,000 tokens. Ongoing. Your cost can't be increased. Your opponent's cost can't be reduced. That's completely incredible. Something like 75% of all games with the current meta would be affected by Mobius, either helping you or messing up your opponent. That's completely nuts. This is immediately one of the best like tech cards in the game, and it can be so much more than that. We'll get to more on that as we go forward. I know some people decide what they're buying based on spotlight variants. Mobius has 3 kind of great spotlight variants, if I'm going to be honest. As always, I want the Den hip. I think hips are the best. I especially like this hip. I did a article on Marvel Snap Zone last week going over the top 5 hips, and this didn't rank because it's unreleased, but it was ranked 0 because like I think it's the best. We've got Alligator Loki, the Vote Loki pin, the amazing shocked Owen Wilson face that it's like his trademark. It's glorious. The second it's in my shop, I'm grabbing this. This will be the Mobius I use forever. I haven't liked all the spotlights. I didn't feel like the Ravonna one felt different enough from her base art, but I like this one. I think that I don't know, it's really hard to make this character look badass, and this one does a great job of it. It's probably not like an A plus like the hip, but it's a nice B plus if you're opening spotlights after for one of the variants or for one of the other cards after having Mobius. Great. And then Jet Ski Mobius is in a like $100 bundle coming up next month. But that $100 bundle comes with like 10,000 credits, so like it's got some reasonable value in Marvel Snap turns. I think that one's pretty cool. It looks relatively fun. I like the little, floaty on his neck. I think it's a fun one. Look, the hip is the one to get, at least as far as I'm concerned. But the mellow bundle one is not that far behind, especially, impressive since it's going against a hip. Okay. Our other Spotlight Cash variants are High Evolutionary, and yes, we did see this one earlier. No one in the community is pleased that they're repeating a Spotlight card. which means if you have High Evolutionary, you have this variant, it's really hard to recommend you open almost no matter what, because it'll just be like a random other variant at that point, which royally sucks. There's also this Kang variant, which I think is amusing because I don't know, it's got like Princess Leia hair as the helmet. I think it's adorable. I know those are headphones, but it totally looks like Princess Leia hair. Um, DJ Kang is adorable, if only Kang were remotely playable. All right, cards and locations affected by Mobius. Huge props to our friend Drewberry for creating this infographic. This is every card and location. Um, outside, no, I think this is every single one affected by Mobius. So we're gonna go through them quickly. Dream Dimension means your opponents, or you, depending on who has Mobius, will be completely screwed on turn 5, and you get the benefit. Elysium is like almost immediately a snap condition if you realize they're not running a deck with Mobius, once we figure out what decks those are, because I think Mobius goes in everything. Icebox is just like one player gets Iceman, the other doesn't. The Peak means the power will change, but the cost will not. That's going to be nuts for certain cards. The Raft is that 6 cost that would cost 0, still going to cost 6. Titan, 6 cost, still cost 6. All of those can be backbreaking, right? All of those can, if you have Mobius or you Rogue or Enchantress their Mobius and have Mobius, and be like win conditions. That's awesome. The obvious stuff that everyone knows and feels the difference for are cards like Ravona and Sarah and Zabu is immediately going to like chase those out of the meta, at least for a little bit. But like also, cards like Death and She-Hulk are massively, massively impacted. If you liked Bounce and were using Beast to make things 0, not anymore. Mr. Negative is just like dead. I think Loki is still probably fine. It just probably runs Mobius and Rogue instead of a couple of other of its tech cards. But almost everything else here is like beating the crap out of the meta. With the exception of Wave, which I think like Wave and Mobius might be the best 2-card combo in all of Marvel Snap right now. We're going to talk more about those 2 cards in a lot of decks as we go. But yeah, oh, it was confirmed that Swarms will still cost 2, even though it's replacing with 2 0-cost Swarms. Nope, that's a replacement effect on the 2 cost of Swarm. It's it's nutty. Like Mobius affects so much of the game. Like how many decks in the meta aren't affected by any of these cards? Very few. Okay. So again, credits to the awesome Drewberry. Check out Drewberry's Snap for the previous slide. Synergies, wave into Galactus. So if you wave, you Mobius wave, and then you want a Galactus, your opponent will be stuck playing a 4-cost or cheaper card. And if that 4-cost or cheaper card, that must have 7 or more power to stop Galactus. That's so much less likely. Gone is the Devil Dinosaur to stop your Galactus, or the Arrow to stop your Galactus, or whatever else. Wave into Galactus is now protected. Wave on 5 can equal 2 plays on 6 if you have Mobius out. That could be something like Doom, which will still be reduced to 4 from your Mobius, and Silk, which will still cost 2 because its cost can't be increased by Mobius. We do know that Mobius versus Mobius completely cancels each other out, as in, not like no effects happen, as in nothing can be raised or lowered. Everything will cost its base cost forever. You can wave on 5 if Death already costs low enough, as long as you've destroyed Death. So welcome back to the OG Death Wave / Bayro deck. We'll look at one of those later. Rogue, Enchantress, and Echo are very likely back in the meta. Sniping Mobiuses with Echo is like about to become a sport, I feel. Roguing Mobius is going to be a great way to steal cubes early in the metagame until people adjust. Eventually, Mobius will only start coming out later when needed. But roguing Mobiuses for at least a little while, they drop Mobius, you drop Rogue, is going to be an amazing way to win games of Marvel Snap. And Enchantress just says, no, no thank you to that ability. I think Mobius kind of goes in everything. This is likely the death of negative Sarah and Zabu, at least for a little while, although I do have decks that use them, should I be wrong, that try and take advantage of the effect sort of asymmetrically. But this is going to go in everything. This is like, I mean, Loki's almost got to be the best card this season, but like, man, it's hard to imagine a better card than this. It's like they released Shang-Chi as a Series 4 card. I think that's akin to the effect that this would have. All right, first things first, Death Wave, right? Death Wave is the obvious and easy way to use this. You get Death nice and cheap. If you can get Death to 0, you can do something like Carnage, Death, and Alioth on the last turn of the game, and that seems pretty good when your opponent can only play one thing. It's silly. You can even, because Death doesn't care, you can spend your turn 5 going Wave and Mobius just fine without any downside. I added Squirrel Girl because you do want to make sure that Death will cost 2 or less here, because otherwise you're screwed, right? So you want to make sure your Death is going to be reduced to 4 and then reduced further by Wave. It's totally fine. It works just fine, but you need a lot of things to die, so I added Squirrel Girl for the Killmonger instead of cards that benefit you more like Nova or even X-23. Although I could see like some use for X-23 still. Maybe X-23 is better, maybe it's not, but this is what I'm looking. Bucky could be Wolverine or Bucky. I tend to like Bucky better because I like that that Bucky into Deathlock or Bucky into Carnage lane is so hard to beat. Um, you can then Venom away a bunch of this stuff. Like you can add Null to this deck. There's a lot of different ways you can go and a lot of powerful things you can do to win games of Marvel Snap. Like straight up, good luck to anyone stopping this. This is going to be one of the better decks in the game, I think, almost immediately, unless opponents can hard counter Mobius. And like one of the ways that you can hard counter Mobius again is just run your own Mobius. This deck does not have enough room for Rogue. But remember that like they're dropping Mobius early, you don't have a way to get rid of it, right? But like your Mobius still has to be dropped late for fear of their Rogue. Next up, we have Interrobang's Galactus. We talked about this deck yesterday. I did a video on it on Sunday. Um, it was running Jeff in that Mobius spot. I think Mobius is insane here. And Mobius is largely insane here because you can go Mobius, Wave, Galactus, and it's just going to be damn near unstoppable. Like, your opponent can do so little at that point. I also like Mobius. Yeah, Mobius at that point is just super strong, right? Like, what does your opponent do to stop your Galactus at that point? And if you get that Galactus off, now you can Devil Dino and Alioth and just enjoy yourself, right? Or you can drop a Jubilee if you so prefer. Um, Everything else is fairly self-explanatory, right? Like otherwise you're getting Sandman out and you're playing your Odin leader Alioth Doom game plan to like say you can only play one card a turn, but my cards are either doing better things than your cards, going wider than your cards, or eating your cards in the case of Alioth. Like wish the opponent luck and go to town. That should work perfectly well too. Devil Dinosaur is just really big if you're only playing. You win. Have fun with your big victory with this deck. I think this deck is going to be sick. I think that Mobius is like secret sauce to Galactus. I don't think a lot of people are going to be playing it. People are going to go, "Oh, Mobius doesn't affect Galactus," and go play Galactus. But like, I think once like Galactus gets chased off, because I don't think it's going to be very good in the Mobius meta. I think Mobius in Galactus can bring it back, and this will be the deck to do so. Next up, we have Lambie's Loki. I think that this might not want to run Mobius, might just want to run Rogue. But either which way, this is like the same basic deck. It cut Legion and kept Devil Dino, and then it cut I don't know, one of the like 2 drops, and just said, "All right, let's go. Let's go to town. I will take your Mobius and still have my completely busted Loki stuff." The discourse around Loki right now has been that Loki isn't broken because only top players can play him, but like the tournament meta and the top meta still matters, and like Loki is crazy good. And if you take the time to learn the meta, anyone can do Loki. Look, I did it this weekend. I was just like, let's play Loki stuff, and just sort of crushed face. I'm pretty convinced Mobius isn't going to make Loki worse. I threw a Mirage in here because like now Kitty and Angela. That's right. I think Kitty and Angela are made worse by Mobius being all over the meta. You no longer have the extra energy quite as often, so that extra power Mirage can get you has more value. And I think that like this deck is still completely sick. Also, note this beautiful, beautiful Snowguard variant. Anyone new here? I always put my own variants in these. I pulled that Snowguard variant from a random what's it called? A random season cash above 50. And I was just so happy because I have the I like this one significantly more. I think it's more comic-y and kind of just prettier than the Spotlight Cash one that I already have. So big, big happy with this Snowguard. All right. Next up, we have Evolved Alioth. It wouldn't shock me if this is the best kind of home because you can do wave shenanigans here. You can go wave and Mobius and then spend your last turn dropping Alioth or Hulk, or sorry, Alioth or Hulk along with a card like Sunspot or Misty for an extra power or Jeff for an extra power. That seems pretty good to me as a way to like guarantee you win. Does this need Mobius? No, but Mobius here makes sure that your opponent's Mobius kind of doesn't screw you as much. You're fine with both Mobiuses just turning each other off in this deck. Like that's a completely fine trade for you. Mobius turns off Mobius. Basically, all I did in this deck is cut armor and add a Mobius. Because like if you're both waving right, like, and nothing is happening, then your Alioth and Hulk or Claw just win you the game. Enjoy yourself. This deck is sick. This is like my homebrew version that's been winning an absolute ton. All right, next up we have Ravona Trimobius. So I built this deck called Ravona Tri that I kept winning Infinity tickets with. It's just been super good. It was running Loki and Collector in the Mobius and Rogue slot. I never wanted a Loki with this deck. I would occasionally Loki on the last turn as like a quick power spike. So I cut him for Mobius and Rogue and said, all right, well, I'm running 3 discount cards. If I have Mobius and you don't, I should just win the game. Let's go to town and see how that works. Do I think this deck works? Honestly, kind of yeah. Snowguard is a little bit busted right now. Like just turning off locations when your opponent isn't ready, or making extra stuff in locations just ruins opponents' lives. It's so powerful. And this deck does a phenomenal job at getting 2-cost Iron Mans and 2-cost Darkhawks and 3-cost Iron Mans, and then you copy that with the Mystique and you say, all right, beat me. And spoiler, most people can't. I think this deck is probably still really good. Um, I'm less sure on this, to be completely honest. This deck is running Mobius and Rogue again for the exact same reasons. It wants to try and get a powerful Hitmonkey off last turn with Sarah. I feel like this might need America Chavez for the consistency of hitting Rogue on their Mobius. But if they just Mobius on turn 5, you're dead in the water. And I'm not sure what there is to do about that. So, yeah. I think this might be good for a day or two. But, like, I might try this, but my hopes aren't high. I think it's a cool deck at the very least. And, like, not so many hips. Come on, let it be good. But Shang-Chi and Shadow King are both going to be great in this meta, right? Your Shadow King is a little dangerous with Mysterio, Bishop, and Angela, so, be careful. Only play it if it's giving you a benefit, but other than that, like, this deck looks really good. It's a shame that I don't think it works anymore. All right, we got Good Card Stature, another deck I'm not as sure on. I think for a little while, this will be really, really good. Note the 3 4-cost cards that are all made cheaper by Zabu, so they want Mobius, right? So if you go something like Korg into Zabu into like, and then they're like gonna snap you and play Mobius, and then you can either rogue that or drop your own Mobius and just be fine, and you go to town, right? I don't know if you need your own Mobius in this or if Rogue is just good enough. I think is my big concern. Um, Mobius shutting down your opponent's wave nonsense seems like it might be worth it on its own, but like this is another one where I think Rogue might be enough if people aren't playing in the best way. Um, you need Zepu for this deck to work though, so like you need to run Rogue or Mobius or both. You'll note that a lot of these Mobius decks are just like the best decks in the game. Here's another one of the best decks in the game, Mobius Doomwave. Same exact concept as before, right? This is a Doomwave that's running the Darkhawk package. So like you have Mobius so that you can go Mobius and Wave after you've played your Zabu, and then you can still Darkhawk and Shang-Chi on your last turn. Your opponent can't do anything about it unless their Mobius counters you. I think this one might have more legs because like it's taking advantage of the wave and the Zabu together, and I think that might have enough power with your Rogue to really get you somewhere. Although now like you're not rock sliding, and how good is your Darkhawk, and you run into curve issues. I don't know. I think Mobius is kind of busted. All right, Mobius is insane. Those are Mobius decks for the day. You'll note that he fits in absolutely freaking everything but like Patriot, and I can see him fitting into some versions of Patriot. Does Mobius look good? Yeah. Should you buy it with tokens? Unless you also need High Evolutionary. If you need High Evolutionary, open some Spotlight caches and get High Evolutionary and Mobius, and smile at the sheer number of new decks you can now create. If you only need Mobius and you have 3,000 tokens, use the tokens. If you don't have 3,000 tokens, honestly, if you're ever going to spend the money, I suggest you buy the Mobius bundle and use that for extra Spotlight caches, and that should basically get you through like next season too. Um, and I think that has a lot of value. All right, we're not done yet. Let's keep going. If you're still watching, though, like, sub, ring the bell. You know this is good stuff. All right, our next spotlight card is Kang. I'm going to make you wait for Evolutionary for a couple minutes. Kang is a Series 5. I don't know why it says ongoing. That should be on reveal, excuse me. Series 5, 6,000 tokens, big bag. On reveal, look what your opponent did, then restart the turn without Kang. That's poopy. It's a really, really terrible card. Like, it's almost unplayable. I have two decks that make it, I don't know, pseudo-playable. Like, it's not atrocious, but, like, I think there's better cards even in those two decks, to be completely honest. First is Magic Kang. I found this over on Marvel Snap Zone. I'm not sure who the original creator was, but it's relatively cool. Basically, if you're gonna Magic, you can Kang. You'd really, really, really like to know if they're gonna cancel your Magic or not, right? So Kang lets you know that. You've also got Cosmo, but like, so a lot of people were running cards like Leech or whatever nonsense to like stop the Magic cancel. This is just clean. It's a clean way to do it. It lets you know maybe you can Legion. Maybe what they're trying to do is Legion something else, and then your Legion is going to get that, like lock in for Magic or whatever else. You can also Moon Girl and then skip and double She-Hulk with some other cards here. Like it's a decent deck that way. You can not Moon Girl. You can skip 5 and then Legion and She-Hulk. And if you're not sure that's going to win, Kang is pretty good there too. So I don't know. It's an okay deck. It's not like the best thing I've ever seen, but like it's pretty good. It's got a lot of interesting play lines. It's about as good a home for Kang as you're gonna see. Would you rather not have Kang? Yep. Like I think this deck might just be better with Leech, right? Um, Also probably better without Moon Girl right now with Evolutionary and Hulk. We'll look at that in a little bit, but like this is a thing you can do. This is a reasonably powerful and interesting thing you can do, and that's what we're about here. So. All right, I also decided to throw Kang into Lambie Ramp. I put Kang in instead of Iron Lad. Basically, my theory being I want a Galactus a lot, and I'd like to know whether I can Galactus and where they're likely to play. And Kang into either Alioth or Galactus seems pretty good. If I am gonna Galactus and then like they're going to Alioth me and kill me, right? Like I don't have Alioth, I only have like I don't know Odin, right? I want to know if that's gonna win or if they're gonna Alioth and beat me. I can throw a Kang down and use that to see. It's not quite as good as Iron Lad, but it has value here. Also, extra value is the ramp cards in America, which means I will often enough draw into Kang on turn 4 or 5 when I can play him and then draw an extra card. So he's pseudo deck thinning there. I think he's like probably good here. Like this might be my favorite home for Kang in the whole game. Um, you're more likely to draw him on a turn that you can play him and then draw an extra card, and he gives you value with both Galactus, Alioth, and kind of value with Leader too, if we're being completely honest. So like, there's a lot to like here about this gang. This is one worth trying, maybe not worth like 6,000 tokens or spotlight caches or anything, but like as far as Kang goes, this is good. Last we have High Evolutionary. Uh, Series 6, Series 5, 6,000 tokens, big bad. At the start of the game, unlock the potential of your cards with no abilities. High Evolutionary is not a card you play, it's a card you play so you can play other cards. Wasp is an 0-1 that gives -1. You only really play that in Lockjaw, but it's a decent card. Misty Knight is a 1-2. It goes in a lot of the decks. Any extra energy, it puts a random power on one of your cards. That's usually great. Shocker goes in a deck here or there. We did a deck this morning from W that used Shocker to the best effect I've ever seen. It gives the leftmost card in your hand -1 cost. Cyclops is probably the second best High Evolutionary card. It is a 3/4 that and if you end the turn with extra energy, gives -1 to 2 different of your opponent cards. It's fantastic. It also feels like Cyclops because it's ricocheting the beams. Thing is 4/6 still, but its on reveal is it gives -1 to 3 different cards in your opponent's location. It used to be better, got nerfed. Abomination's a 5/9 that costs 1 less for each card your opponent plays that has negatives. It felt like it was going to be great, and it never worked out because Luke Cage is a card, so it's really hard to rely on because Luke just goes into things. This might be the best time for Abomination ever because Mobius is going to eat up a lot of Luke's deck space and oxygen. And finally, we have Hulk, which gets, as long as it's in your hand or in play, +2 power for each unspent energy. It does not take effect if it's in the deck. Other than that, it gets the +2 power. Hulk is the best evolutionary card. Evolutionaries must have. There's basically always a tier 1 evolutionary deck, and I don't see that changing. I think this is likely to be the home of Mobius as we go forward, outside of Loki. So, like, get ready for evolutionary to be everywhere. I'm really happy they put it into Spotlight caches here, even if I don't like the Spotlight variant they chose. Great. This is an Evo control deck. that I grabbed. This is your standard W Doom Wave. I think this is literally card for card the W Doom Wave right now. It might be running no, this is like literally exactly the deck. You can throw instead of armor, because I don't expect a auto kill Monger right now. You can throw instead of armor a Mobius in this and be just fine. This deck is really freaking good. I don't know what else to say about it. Evolutionary says Misty, Cyclops, and Hulk are fantastic plays. Wave locks down the board, and then you either go wide with Doom or you go tall with Hulk. One lane is very often won by Storm, or Storm and Cyclops, Storm and Nebula, Storm and Sunspot, etc. And Iron Lad gives you a sort of random way to cheat out a Doom, or cheat out a Cyclops, or cheat out a Wave that can. This deck is awesome. You should definitely try it if you haven't. It's one of the highest win percent decks in the game. Next up, we have Inshinaut, as we referenced earlier. This is Den's version. Howdy, Den. Den is our buddy over at Marvel Snap Zone, the head writer there. This is a version we talked about earlier, and there's a sort of a completely wild W version of this in this morning's video. I again urge you to check out. But this one runs magic, and then after magic, it wants to leech so that the limbo sticks. And at that point, you skip, and you drop She-Hulk and Hulk, or She-Hulk and Infinite. Sunspot grows, Nebula hopefully grows, Misty grows something, and then Cyclops takes 2 off. Your opponent has no abilities, and then you're dropping 29-ish power onto the board. Sometimes 31, sometimes less than that, right? Like, but you're dropping an absolutely insane amount of power on the board, and then you win the game. It's one of the more powerful decks in the game. It's amazing on ladder. Not always as good on Conquest, in my experience, but because like whatchamacallit is everywhere, Snowguard is everywhere, and smart players will Snowguard you on 5 and just be like goodbye to Limbo and make you make bad choices. But short of that, like, this deck is great and hard to beat and worth playing. And you need High Evolutionary for it because it sure doesn't work without it. All right, conclusions time. You want Mobius. If I'm wrong here, everyone is wrong. We have not been this unanimous about a card since High Evolutionary. Last card that everyone was this sure about was High Evolutionary, which ended up nuts. Hey, spoiler, you also need High Evolutionary. Kang is in need of a rework. This is what I'm going to say. So the Loki season is coming out with features Kang. That has been an impetus for reworks before. I am going to bother on social media as much as I possibly can in second dinner so we can get an answer as to this week as to whether Kang is getting a rework next week when the patch drops. Patch drops with the new season. So if Kang gets a rework, then this is like a super home run because Evolutionary and Kang are both big bads, which means that they're never going to cost less than 6,000 tokens. They are amazing for Spotlight caches. At that point, you want to open Evolutionary, Kang, and Mobius. You might as well just open all 3, right? Because the odds of you getting Evolutionary Kang is so freaking like crazy, right? Before you get Mobius and then the third thing. But if Kang doesn't get a rework, which it probably won't, right? Like they're gonna make us wait, then Kang is complete garbage. You still need High Evolutionary. But if you need Kang and Mobius and Kang is getting a rework, then you'd want to open for Kang. I just can't promote that because we don't know. All right. You still get Mobius. No matter what, you probably want to get Mobius. Do you have to get Mobius the first day? No. You can always wait a few days and let the meta develop and like see if we're right? But I'm gonna be buying Mobius the instant he comes out. It's very hard for me to imagine this card is not meta warping. Is it healthy? That we're going to have to wait and see. Stay tuned here. I'm also going to be doing in the next couple days, once the meta shakes out, decks that don't need Mobius to compete more. Hopefully you hit that sub button if you watched this long, and I imagine you haven't. Thanks so much. Appreciate you. Peace.